In today's video, I'm going to talk about our autism diagnosis story and how our eldest son was diagnosed with autism. Welcome to the Aspie Mama. I'm Danny. Thanks for taking a look at my channel. This channel is about raising children on the autism spectrum, parenting hacks, DIY tutorials, and our life in general. I'll share with you my top tips and tricks that I've learned along the way, so be sure to subscribe and follow our journey. Alright, let's dive in. Okay, so Vajya is now 10 and a half. When this story started, he was 2 and a half. From the beginning, there were a few signs. If you want to know more about the initial signs of autism that we noticed with him, be sure to click on the link that's going to appear above me, and you can watch that to see the exact signs that we saw in both our boys before they were diagnosed. So I'm just going to skip that and move forward, but there were signs that we noticed initially when he was younger. We didn't think too much of them at the time. We just thought that he was maybe a little bit delayed. Initially at 2 and a half, we just thought he was behind in his speech and he would just need some sort of speech therapy. And then the other big issue was he didn't seem to be responding when we would call him. So we were concerned about his hearing. So that's kind of what led us initially on getting an evaluation for him. Like he was having more difficulties than the other kids his age. Once we started the evaluation, the first things we had to do were get an eye test and a hearing test. His eye test came back fine. He had perfect vision. There was nothing wrong with his vision. And his hearing test, which we felt like would come back, I wasn't even sure actually how he was going to behave for the hearing test, because he literally would never respond to us when we asked him to do something or questions or things. So I was like, I don't even know how he's going to do this, because when we sat down in this like sound booth and they start, you know, they're like, we're going to put headphones on him and then we're going to play noise in this ear and this ear, and then we're going to ask him which side he heard, and I'm thinking to myself, oh gosh, how is this even going to work? Have enough tools, they can really do it even if the child is not participating. So his hearing test came back perfect. So then we knew, okay, there's no eye problems, there's no hearing problems. So if his eyesight's fine and his hearing's fine, then what the heck is going on? So then the next step was to go to the developmental pediatrician. So in order to do that, where we live, you have to get a referral from your pediatrician. You have to fill out a evaluation form of, you know, like how your child is doing. It's like a questionnaire of like, what things do you think, or basically it's like a questionnaire of like, what do you feel is wrong? Why do you feel like you need an evaluation? La-di-da-di-da. You fill it out, you turn it in, you wait, they get back to you. So when we turned ours in, the social worker got back to us. We had a meeting with her. We had to sit down with her. She asked us more involved questions about his birth, his early months of development, how he reacted in certain situations, and then from there, she passed that information along to the developmental pediatricians and their staff, and then an initial appointment to meet with him and his staff was set up. So the initial appointment with them was a full team for a full diagnosis. I guess they had enough information from the intake that they felt like something is going on, and that's why they scheduled to have a full-on evaluation. There was a child psychologist, an occupational therapist, a speech therapist, and the developmental doctor in the room. So when we went for the initial meeting and evaluation with him, there were 4 other people in the room and they all did their thing. You know, the speech therapist tried talking. I think she mainly observed him. I don't know if she actually spoke to him so much. I can't remember because it was actually a really long time ago. But I do remember the occupational therapist, you know, she had a book. I think it was like part of the DSM-5 or something like that they use to diagnose kids for where they are at age level, as you know, where it has pictures and they say, where's this, where's that, what are they doing in this picture, what are they doing in that picture, can you stack up these cubes, you know, like they have a whole system that they do. So they did that with him. They talked to us as parents while the developmental doctor talked to us while the OT was like playing with him alongside, like doing her analysis basically. And then they would ask us questions throughout. And basically after that, they sent us all out of the room to discuss and decide what they felt like was going on. And after about 15-20 minutes, they called us back in, and basically they broke the news that they thought that he's on the autism spectrum. And we were like, what? Where did this come from? Like, we totally were blindsided. We totally didn't see that coming. We really just thought he had like some sort of developmental delay. So I felt really thrown off guard, because it was just like, I didn't even see it coming. And so I think that was the hardest part of it, is it was just kind of like out of thin air, it felt like. So that was their initial perception. And then they like to wait 6 months to a year and then see the child again. And then once they've seen them again, if they feel like it still all lines up and everything seems to be moving that way, then they give the official diagnosis. So that's what happened, is in the follow-up appointment, then he was officially diagnosed. So in the initial appointment, he was loosely diagnosed as on the spectrum, but then once they saw him again, they were able to give him the full diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. And during that time in between, we kind of had time to sit on it, process it, which is a whole nother thing. If you want to know more about, I'm gonna try to make a video about. If it's up already, then I'll be sure to link it above. If not, just keep an eye out for it. So basically, in his initial assessment of ASD, the reasons why he was diagnosed ASD was his lack of speech development, his lack of ability to communicate with others, his lack of interest in communicating with others. Another thing was his eye contact. He had really poor eye contact. He wouldn't look at you a lot of times. He would not point for things, all of these things. He didn't have any like repetitive behaviors in terms of like a stim, but at that point he did develop one later, but I don't remember him having it quite then, or it may have just started and I didn't like notice it, kind of, because I didn't know what it was, kind of thing. But he did have like repetitive play, and that he would get like focused on, like if he had a car and it had a wheel, he would just sit there and go like this to like move the wheel, and just be like not super focused, spaced out to just watching that wheel go round and round and round and round, which is like very typical autism. So he would do that, and then just intense focus, like I said, on things, and very limited range of interests. He'd pretty much just lay on the floor on his stomach and roll a car back and forth, or he would line them up, or like I said, he would roll the wheel of the vehicle like around and around and around and around, or anything like that he could like just spin round and round and round. So he was a pretty straightforward diagnosis. He got diagnosed very easily. We weren't even really trying. We didn't even really expect it. It just kind of fell into our laps, I guess you could say. I hope that you guys find this video helpful, and also don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to see more videos like this. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.